All right. Okay, now let's move on to the rest of this part here. So, oh yeah, and any other questions? So does someone raise your hand? Nope. Oh yeah, Sultan.
I think the question is what constitutes a scholarly writing in your own view?
Scholarly writing. Okay. What constitutes scholarly writing is the basis for objective writing that looks at multiple perspectives without necessarily trying to bias your own political agenda. Okay. So when somebody reads it, they see this version, they see another perspective, and they see another perspective, and then see another perspective. And then at the end, you help them analyze and understand what is going on, and then provide some practical actions for them to go test things. Okay, that's the basis of scholarly writing. There has to be some level of objectiveness. There has to be multiple sources so you can understand where people are coming from. When you read a news article, right, most news articles are very biased. They want you to see their perspective. They give you one snapshot of reality. Okay, a scholarly article should say, here's one picture here, here's another picture here, here's another picture here, right? So let's take the pandemic, for example, right? You're all in this lockdown, you all seen the news broadcast of the pandemic. There's so many biased perspectives, right? Some news articles say it started in China. Not necessarily completely true. Some news articles say it's the vaccine manufacturers in the US that's driving this whole thing. Other people say, I mean, there's so many different news broadcasts and different perspectives, right? But if you're looking at it as a scholarly perspective, you can say, okay, China's medical system is designed towards detecting root cause before anything else so they can fix the problem, where the US system does not. Meant to address symptoms so they can continue to make profit. It's a capitalistic system, right? Both statements are two different countries. They're very objective about a medical system, not who's right, who's wrong, okay? And then you can say the research bases in Israel, who has an antibody in the test, in the laboratories currently, has been proven to be a cure for anybody that has coronavirus, right? That's a fact data, right? Another form of medicine in the US has a 90% cure rate already, right? So I'm giving you facts and data, okay? That makes it a lot more scholarly in a perspective of the coronavirus versus all the ones in the news media or 5G is the cause of coronavirus, or this is the cause of people eating bats. Well, if you look at the scientific data, it's not people eating bats. The coronavirus only has a 92% genetic linkage to the virus found in the bat feces. It has to be transmitted by another animal in order for that 100% genetic match. So some animal contracted the coronavirus from the bats, and then people ate that animal who was sick with it. That's the genetic makeup of it, right? So that's the scientific basis versus an opinion basis. Okay, that's the difference, right? Okay, good question. Any others? No? Okay. All right, so let's talk about mental blocks a little bit as a kind of a brain warmer up for our second session in the afternoon. Now, when you look at the mental blocks for writing, I'm really curious to understand how most of you all wrote, you love to write. Writing is a passion, you love to write, and yet you only wrote such a small few sentences for your first task. What happened?
We were responding to an email. I don't think anybody wanted to write anything worthy.
Okay, so just the email, you don't want to write too much?
Yeah, at least for me, that's what it was.
Okay, all right, others?
I don't love to write.
Okay.
I think just being lazy and sort of nonchalant in some sort of way, because I find that that's one of my main problems. I enjoy writing, but I just sort of find sometimes I just want to get the work done and meet the deadline and just move on to the next task. So there's the hurry, there's a haste sort of there, rather than me actually just taking my time with it.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Sultan.
For me, I believe it's more of trying to make more sense than just playing with words, and then at the end of the day, you don't seem to pass on the information you were trying or intending to pass at the beginning of the communication.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, I didn't quite get the question fully, because your question in the mail was, how do you feel about writing and how will it extend your interest? So I was confused. Interest exactly in what?
Uh-huh. Interest is your passion though, right?
Well, it sounded like there was a general assumption that we were all writers and what we do is writing. So,
Okay.
yeah, but for me, I'm not a writer. Although when I have to write, I will try to do my best to write. So that was why I didn't understand. In fact, in my response to your mail, I didn't even answer I don't think I answered the second question, because I was wondering what you meant by how would it, let me see, how will it help extend your interest?
Right.
My interest is not in writing.
Yeah. Okay. So what made you not ask me the question about the assignment then?
I knew I was going to ask at the workshop, so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, for me, the prompt said send a short paragraph. So I felt writing something more than a paragraph would be too much, as it's not what the instruction asked. So it said write a short paragraph about the following questions, and then the questions came underneath. Yeah. So that word short paragraph gave me a sense of how much I should write.
Okay. So 2-3 sentences is a short paragraph.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So in the one thing that you have to keep in mind, you're in a competitive environment, right? The first time somebody picks up something that you've written, that is you. That is your own marketing. Okay. You have to figure out how to be different and how to be memorable. Okay. Not everybody's going to ask you about your passions. Most people won't. But the minute you get a chance to do that, you have to do it in such a way that it's really, really memorable. Okay. And then it makes a huge difference. All right. Okay. Now, when we talk about the mental blocks to writing, everybody has below the lines excuses. Number one, I'm not a writer. We heard that, right? You all need to write. Okay. Whether it's an email, whether it's an article, whether it's a book, you all need to write. And how you write makes a huge difference. So let's not get to I'm not a writer excuse. You all have to communicate. You have to communicate. You have to talk to people, right? Writing is just putting down words into an email and typing it out. You all have to do it. Okay. So something to kind of just keep in mind. Don't worry about whether you're trained a writer or not. You have to do it, and find your passion to use that as fuel. How are you going to change your environment, your specific industry? How are you going to make policy? How are you going to change the construction industry and the building industry, right? How are you going to change media? Media is huge. Most people, it's been theorized that most people say media is another branch of government because they control the masses. They control how they think, right? So use that passion to do your writing in a powerful way, okay? Don't get distracted. You know, the whole, here's my task, let me get it done and move on. Don't move on. Writing is an endless process, okay? It's an endless reflection. You write it, you think about it, go back a few hours later or a day, go back and think about it again. Make it as perfect as you can, but not so perfect because you'll never be done, right? so that you can make sure that you produce something that people will remember you by. Okay, so over here in the blue section are some solutions to kind of different ways to think about writing, right? So looking at the research alternatives, looking at different journal articles, different perspectives, you always want to make sure you're seeing all perspectives, right? Like the coronavirus. You don't want to just absorb one form of media from the US, from the UK, wherever. You want to look at the media from China. You want to look at the media in the US, as well as Africa, as well as everybody else, okay? So that you have a full system perspective of what is going on, right? You want to look at the human brains, right? How do we respond to, at the simplest form, look at artwork, right? What artwork are the most famous? What artwork draws people there? What is a piece of artwork that can be charged millions of dollars to buy, right? They carry a lot of emotion, okay? They have solid pictures. You all know the concept of modern art, right? A lot of times when you look at modern art, it's just somebody throwing a bunch of paint on there sometimes. You can't see what the heck it is, right? But yet they sell for millions sometimes because it's colorful, it's different, okay? Your writing has to be the same. Your writing is a piece of artwork. It has to have a lot of color and understanding how the human brain is gonna digest that information and apply it, okay? Now, something that's very important here, to be seen. Are you afraid for the world to see you? Anybody afraid for the world to see you? For you to stand on the podium for the rest of the world to look at you and potentially judge you for who you are?
Yep.
Okay, that's part of reality, right? The minute you put something in writing, you're putting yourself out there. That's a huge fear, okay? When I was writing my first book, I faced that wall. And it basically made me stop, okay? And then as I was working with my energy coach, she helped me realize, the minute, even before you were born, you changed the world. You know that? When you're in your mother's tummies, everybody in your community was celebrating you coming to birth. Everybody had positive energies around, right? You were already changing the world before you were even born. Why worry about it now? Okay? As an adult, you impact so many different things, so many different people, right? People see you already. There's no difference, okay? It's just a bigger audience, that's all, right? So they already see you, so put the best foot forward, okay? All right, let's see. And then also, some of you may be very critical of yourselves. Your best critique, it's not good enough. You go over and over again. Find some mentors, use each other to support yourself, okay? Find some mentors that'll say, wow, this is good stuff, but what about this? Okay, ideally, all of you should have multiple mentors, and that's what this whole program is about, right? Developing you as future leaders of Kaduna State. But you should have some mentors that are going to be supportive, but not supportive in such a way that says, good job in every single time. They will say, good job, now what about this? Well, how about this perspective? Well, what about this? They will ask you questions, okay? Finding a mentor to support your growth, right? Not those that simply say, good job, or this sucks. Neither one is that good, okay? All right, and then of course, the time leadership part. Now, why do you think I say time leadership, not time management?
I guess time leadership sounds more proactive. Like
yeah,
you
much more
in control of your time as opposed to time being in control of you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sultan, you were about to say something?
That was what I wanted to say. You are fully in control of your own time. You have a schedule. You follow the schedule religiously.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So one major difference is time leadership. You make time. Okay. You make free time. You make time happen. Just like you make money, you make time. You're so efficient that you always focus on efficiency, so you make more time and you spend less time on repeating tasks. Continuously be more efficient. Okay, that's why in the beginning when we said, okay, how much time do you want for your outline? Trevor said 15 minutes, and we went with 15 minutes, right? A little more than half of you got that task done in 15 minutes, right? When you write, later on we'll talk about the process of writing it in the next section here, but you want to put timelines into each section. I'm going to take 10 minutes to do this. I'm going to take 20 minutes to do this. Put it into time blocks. That way your brain says, oh, I only have 20 minutes to do this. Let me push. If you don't set a timeline, you say, I'm going to write this paper in 5 hours. It's not broken down. Your brain will say, oh, I got plenty of time. And it stops pushing itself. And then your brain gets lazy. Okay. Time leadership is all about setting a mentality of always continuously pushing yourself to improve. Be more efficient again and again and again. Okay. When I did my MBA, I was an engineer initially, right? When I went into business school, did my MBA, they basically told me you need 2 hours of study time for every 1 hour of class to read, to write, to do the assignments. And as an engineer, I said, really? That's kind of a lot. I don't have that much time. I have to work. I want to go play my sports, right? I have dating. I have other activities I want to be part of. I don't have that much time to spend on classwork. That's ridiculous, right? So I started tracking my time, taking all the engineering skills I learned about efficiency and start tracking my time. And I made myself more and more efficient to the point that by the time I was done with my MBA in 2 years, I was spending 3 to 4 hours for an entire week's of class. Okay, before it was 1 hour of class, 2 hours of homework, right? So that would be about 16 to 20 hours of outside class time to do homework. I reduced that down to 2 to 3 hours every single week. Okay, guess what I got to do with all those free time, right? Be more productive in something else, okay? So as you write, line up the processes so that you can be efficient in writing. So writing is simple. For me to write a book is 3 months at this point, okay? If I want to write an article, it's 2 days to write an article, okay? 1 day to flush out the outline, come up with ideas. The next day, revise the outline and write. And I'm done in less than a few hours the next day, okay? I don't get into editing. Editing is not what I do. That's a lower level job you give to some editor. It's not worth your time. Okay. Okay, so that's time leadership aspect. Okay, we'll talk more about this in the next section here. All right. Now, what I'd like you to do next is to write down your own process for writing. What is your current process you use for writing something? Okay. Now, one of the larger parts of what you're going to be doing moving forward. Now, this is very abstract, right? You're going to be writing an article. We're going to be having a very solid outline of article for your specific interest. Okay. So whether your interest is in policy or natural resources or, psychology, media, whatever that interest is, you're going to be writing a scholarly article about that. Okay. To give to a professional journal, to some type of a publication. Okay. Think about your process. What you're given a task. Let's say a professional journal calls you and says, hey, we heard you were in this scholarly writing class. You have some great ideas. Write an article for our next month's publication. You say, okay. Now what? What's your process for starting that writing article? Okay. All right, go ahead and open a new Word document, write down your process. What steps are you going to take? How are you going to make sure it's research supported? Where's the scholarly contents? Now we're taking the values outline, right? That's with just the outline. That's only one step. Okay. Lay out your process. Okay. All right. Let's see. Victoria, how long should this take? Unmute yourself real quick.
15 minutes.
15 minutes to write down the process. Any other thoughts? Okay, I'm going to challenge you to do it in 10 or less. Okay? Okay, so write down your process for writing a paper and then send it to me, send it to us in the general chat area. Okay, 10 minutes or less. Go. Okay, just a couple more minutes. Looks like 8 of you are done. Okay, good. So it looks like as I'm looking at this, I hope you're downloading them and taking a look yourself as well. There is a pretty wide variety of processes here from what I'm seeing. Okay. So now what I'm going to challenge you with, instead of me going through each one of them, like we did last time, we're going to take it up another notch and we're going to go a little bit faster with this one. Okay. So I'm going to share with you the one additional idea of how to go about doing this. And then the next task is that we're going to break into small rooms, and then you're going to kind of continue to synthesize the new perspective I'm providing you, as well as your fellow team members' perspectives, and then come up with a group process that makes the writing process very efficient. Okay. So let's kind of talk about this process first, now that you've all put something in. So in this particular process, first you're writing down your own ideas, right? Your own ideas doesn't necessarily have to be in any kind of outline form yet. It's just whatever ideas you have on your topic, okay? And then you start organizing it, start putting into an outline, right? Step 3, you break down high-level ideas into smaller ideas. So each main point will have a few subpoints, basically, and then put everything into bullet points so that it's organized into an outline format. And then you go into do research support. Okay. Now, why do you think I put research as number 5 as opposed to some of your articles or outline processes that I see earlier? They put research first. Why did I put research 5 as step number 5? What do you think?
So I think that's to ensure originality.
Okay. Yeah, part of it's to ensure originality, or even more importantly, think of it as your own innovation.
Yeah.
Right? You want to start with your own innovation and not be completely biased by the limited research you will find. Okay. Now, part of systems thinking is to understand how the human brain works. If I give you a study about, let's say, leadership, emotional intelligence article, and I say, write an article for your area, for your field, for your discipline, right? You'll most likely use parts of that article as a starting point, okay? That takes away your ability to find the ultimate solution, okay? Typically in the academic environment, you're taught the problem-solving approach, right? In order to write something, you have to have a problem first, okay? Same thing for those of you who did your studies. To do your studies, you have to have a problem first, then you do a study. Right? The pandemic is the worst example of that. You wait for a pandemic to happen and then it becomes a problem and then everybody goes to solve it, okay? As a leader, your job is to create the ideal system, the ideal outcomes, for humanity to thrive, whatever industry you're in. Don't wait for a problem. Don't wait for that last part, okay? Same thing here. When you're starting your writing process, start with what's up here first. Create new ideas, okay? New thought. And then once you've done that as a groundwork, then you go use research to find multiple perspectives to better that thought process, okay? That's why I put the research side as number 5, as all the other steps go ahead of that. That's your original thought. That's open systems, open thinking, right? Some of you may read the Blue Ocean Strategy. That's the same concept, okay? Start with a blank slate, okay? And then of course, number 6, revised outline based on the research synthesis. And then the final step is to write, okay? So after step 6, you'll have what's called an annotated outline. You all know what annotated outline means? Yes, anybody that don't, raise your hand real quick so I can see. No, annotated outline? Okay, annotated outline is basically a much, much better developed outline with all the research support, with proper citations and exactly where all this research support come from. Okay, so taking the outline that you've already developed for the values discussion we had earlier, it's adding all the research basis to every single one of the key points you want to make. And then you no longer have to do research, you can just write based on the annotated outline. Okay. All right, so that is another different way of thinking about this, okay? Now, the time dimension to this is pretty interesting. When is your most creative time? When should you engage in step 1 in this process?
Morning.
Okay, why morning?
Yeah, because my brain is fresh, and specifically when I am in it.
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. Specifically what?
When I'm in the restroom, ideas come to me.
Okay, good. Ideas come to you, all right? Now, one of the reasons why morning time is the best time is from a psychological perspective. You'll understand what percentage of your brain you typically use, right? What's the percentage? Trevor, I see your mouth moving, but you.
And I know it's less than 10%, not sure of the exact figure.
5%.
Yeah, right, approximately 10%, right? So you have a 90% capacity not being used, okay? You know, when you go to sleep, your unconscious wakes up. That's why you have all kinds of crazy dreams, sometimes about spaceships or aliens, or sometimes about real world situations, right? That's when your unconscious gets engaged, wakes up and starts coming up with ideas, okay? So one very simple process to make yourself the most innovative person in your field, before you go to sleep, give your mind a task. Give your mind a task of something innovative to think about, okay? That will put your 90% of your brain, the unconscious, when you go to sleep, to work, making it productive instead of just meaningless dreams, okay? In the morning, when you wake up, ideally don't rush to the bathroom, don't move. The minute you start moving, that unconsciousness starts disconnecting from your conscious brain, okay? Just sit up, grab a blank sheet of paper, blank, right? Ideally, don't use line sheets. Line sheets will conform your thinking in a certain way. Use blank sheet, totally white paper, okay? Pick up a totally white paper and just write whatever comes to your mind. Just write it down. Sometimes you draw pictures, sometimes it's not linear, okay? It's very unlinear thinking. Your morning time is your most creative time, and write down the ideas, okay? If you're in a consulting environment, you can take a client's problem, or you can take the governor's problem before you go to bed, write down the ideas. It works brilliantly, okay? But you gotta train your brain to use that innovative 90% capacity at nighttime to come up with meaningful solutions, okay? Now, the tricky part is not for your brain to judge whatever you write down. Sometimes the ideas you come up with make absolutely no sense at that time. It doesn't matter. Write it down. You will recognize it later, okay? It may be for a future state, right? Just write those things down and see how brilliant your brain is. Okay, the more you access that 90% of your brain, the more powerful you will be. When you write, that's how you capture those innovative ideas that is totally different. Okay. All right. So now that you have that piece in mind, here's your next task. I'm going to go ahead and split you into 4 groups. So you have 4 groups of about 5-6 people. Okay. Each one of you will share with each other your specific what you wrote as your process for writing. And then you also have this one that's in the presentation, okay? You're gonna synthesize one that works best for you in your group, okay? So at the end of, let's say 15 minutes, you will have one team process and you will kind of present that, okay? Choose one person in your group to present. That person is somebody that hasn't spoken much. And when you do present it in a way that it'll be memorable, better than any other group. Okay? So you have a little bit of a competition between the groups, and the groups are going to be completely random, generated by the Zoom application. Okay? All right, any questions on this task?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
This design that you've presented, is it just for scholarly content or just any form of content?
Anything. The only main scholarly thing that's very different from any generic content is step 5. Right? If you want to write a scientific or science fiction novel, right? You take step 5 out, and then you have your process for writing science fiction. Okay,
Then
the scholarly part is step 5.
Okay, then I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
What if you are requested to write something you have no idea about? For example, I'm telling a journalist to write on Steven Johnson syndrome. She's hearing it for the first time.
Okay.
What's going to happen?
Okay. So now, if you're writing as something that you have ideas on something, okay, you don't have a blank slate. If I say, go build a spaceship, right? Most of you have no idea how to build a spaceship, but you know what a spaceship will do, right? What's the basic premise of a spaceship?
Go to space.
Right? You have to have safety. It has to be able to travel light speed, right? You've seen science movies, right? You have a broad framework. Understand? Create that framework first before you go researching something.
Okay.
Okay? If I tell you a disease, Corona, COVID 2085, right? Doesn't exist yet. Or if I tell you to go write an article on the president of the world, it doesn't exist yet, right? Your job is to come up with the framework of how that should be, and then go do research.
Okay.
Do you see the difference? If I give you something that you don't know about, you start researching, your perspective will become most likely the first or second article you read.
Mm-hmm.
You will be limited.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and split you into your groups. This is all random. Let's see. And then go ahead and go into your rooms and then discuss, and then come back in 15 minutes and then have somebody chosen to present that. Okay. Just send me whatever you produce, send that to me. I'll send it to the group, and then we can share that document. Okay. And then you'll present it. Yes. Zainab?
Yeah, so I want to ask, right now, what we're going to work on, are we going to do it generically, or we are going to pick a topic?
The process should be applied to anything. So it's a contextual process. You can use their topic as a framework to guide your thinking, but it's a generic process. Okay. All right, your rooms are open and ready to go. You can go ahead and join each of the respective rooms. Okay, Tahiru, looks like they're all in their rooms now. So Tahiru, you can talk if you like, but they're all in their rooms.
So far, so good. I like the quality of the interactions and the kind of questions they're asking. It shows that they're really following.
Yep, most of them are engaging fairly well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually looking forward to listening to the presentations.
Good. I see you've taken your tie off and relaxed a bit.
Sorry?
I see you're taking your tie off and your suit off to relax a bit.
Yeah. Ted. Always the same. Yeah, that was just for the intro, you know, just for the, there's a second time for a first impression.
Yeah. Well, they already know you, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. No problem at all. You didn't get around to sending the certificate. The press guy has been waiting.
I told you this afternoon. All right, here's the emails.
Oh, okay. No problem. I'll just get him to do it tomorrow.
Yes, I just got my approval. So wheat. All right, we're good to go. Go. 5:14. Whew, I'm ready to celebrate now.
Yeah? Which approval is that?
From the state of Ohio. I just got my license.
Okay, the transcontinental one.
Yes.
Ooh, wow.
Now the media can start. We can push everything.
Congratulations. It couldn't have come at a better time.
Yep. See, now we can officially use the logos.
Sorry?
So now we can officially use the logo.
Yeah, so it's fine. That's why I said it couldn't have come at a better time. Congratulations, you've actually come a long way. It's not easy, you know. No, not at all.
Okay, thank you. I've just sent you the logos.
Okay, good.
Okay, looking at that, I lost track of time. Are we at 15 minutes yet?
No,
No?
about
Okay.
3 more minutes.
Okay.
And the list as well.
The list of the students?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, in their Zoom meeting. I'll give them 1 more minute to finish up.
Okay.
So do you see the Zoom meeting list?
No, I didn't. I don't see it. Are you sharing with me here?
Yeah, in the chat area.
Oh, okay.
I just sent you the private message for that.
Okay. Online workshop practicals.
Yep.
No.
You don't see it in the chat area?
No.
Gotta become an expert at Zoom.
Yeah, I have to.
All right, 1 minute is up. I'm gonna bring him back. So they will each pop up in the main room as they leave their breakout rooms.
Oh.
Okay. How was the process in there in the group, Halima?
It was exciting and intriguing.
You should be presenter for this.
My network is breaking. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
We can
Hello?
hear you, Halima.
Yes, we can hear you good. Okay, welcome back, everyone.
We didn't have enough time.
Yes,
We didn't.
it wasn't up to 15 minutes.
We had technical challenges.
Technical challenges. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's something that's really interesting about managing groups. Okay. I wish we would cover this in a leadership workshop this way. Most people anywhere in the world cannot manage a group efficiently. Okay. Now, well, as we're talking about process of writing, right? Did you have a process to manage your 15 minutes within the group?
To get a process will take about 10 minutes.
No, but somebody has to lead it, right?
Yeah.
Right? So if we were to say, let's make a process for managing the room. So somebody would say, okay, I have 15 minutes, right? I'll break it down in 5-minute increments. What should we do in the first 5 minutes?
Agree.
Deliberate.
Fully. Deliberate fully.
Review the documents already. The first
Arrange all the documents into one.
Okay, share all docs and review, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, what's step 2? Second block.
Brainstorm about the different points.
Okay, this will be the synthesis, right?
Yeah.
Right, putting it all together. And then the last part, I mean, this may take a little bit longer, probably 7 minutes, right? Leaves you another 3 minutes left,
3 minutes.
right?
Yeah. Draft.
Process. Right? So you should create a process for this. Anytime when you get in a group, if you can't manage 15 minutes, it's going to be impossible to manage a larger project that takes months. Okay? So whatever task you're given within a group of people, do this. Okay? The worst part, most people do, most executives anywhere in the world do, is they just start talking without any controls. If people just start talking without any controls, you will never get it done. Here, even if you don't have documents, you should say, if I have 5 people in the room, each person shares in 1 minute. Okay? You take that process and break it down even further to give each person a time slot to how long they can speak, which forces every single person to organize their thoughts. Because if you don't force people to organize their thoughts in a time frame, they will go on and on and on, and you never get it done. Random conversation is the most ineffective way to manage a meeting. Okay? Unfortunately, no business school teaches that. No. Okay, all right, let's take a look at what you've shared. All right, can you put your group outcomes into the general chat area? I only have one grouping here. Does everybody need more time? Oh, you have it. All right, good. I see the second one. Huh? All right, I see 2 groups. Where's the other 3? See, the fun part about this technology is we can put you into groups and we can terminate the groups at any point to bring you back into class. If we were physically doing this, I'd have to go around the classroom to pull you back out of your groups. Okay. See the third one. Okay, there should be 2 more files. Okay, we'll start with this one. Okay, so keep in mind, you're here to compete your thoughts and see which one's the most memorable. Okay, Tahiro and I will determine which one's the memorable after all 5 groups present. Okay. All right, so who's presenting here?
All the presenters. Altine?
Which one of you 3 is presenting?
Altine has spoken the least in the.
I will be presenting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So, hello everyone. So this is group 4, and of course you know us. So we go straight to the point. First of all, we start off by picking a topic. Picking a topic because you pick a topic, you have a lot of topics, you have lots of ideas, but then you pick the topic that sticks to you first. And that's the first step of everything. You could have lots of ideas, but deep down you already know your topic. So you pick a topic which is usually the best of it. That's the first main step, which is picking a topic of interest. Of interest because you have to have passion to follow it all through. You have to have that curiosity to help you follow it all through. So the next step is you have a topic, then what next? You make an outline, you define the scopes. It might be broad, whatever topic it means. If it's love, if it's affection, if it's a serious topic, it's quite broad. And then an outline makes you break it down, you know, down to the end. You make an outline of that topic of interest. So now you have an outline. That's the second step. What next? Flesh it up. So fleshing up the outline, the bullet points that you've made out, you build on it, you research it, you already have it. You have, this is what I want to do. Okay, this is the idea. You flesh it up by actually saying, okay, this, if I get this, this is what I want to achieve. This is the outcome. This is how it's going to go about. This is the process that I'm going to go through. So after doing that, you fleshed out your points, you begin to fill out the outline better. You keep on breaking it down, you remove, you re-edit, you shake it up. That's how you fill out your outline. And then you go to researching on your topic, which is, okay, you have an outline, so this is how I want it to be. Then you go out there to research more about it. You get more information. You try to see other people's perspective. It could be in any way. You could even actually use other methods by asking other people, by reading other things and checking up online just to see whether you're on the right path or whether you agree what they're saying. It differs from what you've actually outlined, what you believe, and then you tackle it. So just to have a fact-based support for what you've outlined. And then you go on to write. You fill out those research, the outcome of your research with the outline you have actually put out there. Then you merge the two. This is where the merging comes. You write it, you fill it out in a more robust manner, and then you proofread it. You proofread, you edit, and then you give it out to people to review, just to get people's feel on it first, people's perspective on it, and see whether there's something that you actually didn't look at, something you omitted, or something you could add. And when you get that feedback, it's actually for you, just a feedback for you, just to get a feel of what you've written. Then you re-edit if necessary, and then you submit.
Okay, good. So a couple of things to keep in mind. When you're writing, when you're creating a process, use numbers. Okay, so make sure the numbers are there. Some details here. When you proofread, how many times are you going to review it yourself?
3 times.
3 times?
You go and come back. You leave it for a while, you go and come back. You leave it for a while, then you go and come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I respond since it's my group?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think it is cast in stone. I think you keep proofreading till you are comfortable that you've done. I think till you are comfortable that the whatever you've written is perfect. So.
Okay. 1 to 3. Okay. Now, how many people are you going to share it with?
As much as it's comfortable for you, ideally I would say 3 to 4 people with different personalities or perspectives naturally. So you have different views.
Okay. How many times are you going to re-edit?
Let's leave it at 2.
Okay. All right. So do you see what I'm doing on some of these items? Right? Make it very specific so you know exactly how many people you need, like here, how many times you're going to do. Each one of these activities should have a very finite aspect, right? So the next step, of course, is to put this into a time schedule. Okay. Okay, good. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, group 3. Okay, who's presenting for group 3?
Okay, that's our group. Myself, Dorcas, Hosea, and Saudi.
Okay.
Okay. So okay. The first we have is that the first step is to write a rough sketch of your thoughts, ideas in their raw form as they come. So that was just as it is in your own outline, but we had it also. So we said that when the ideas come, the first thing is you put them the way they come, without refinement, without going through the literature first to see how they are. So the first thing is first to put them down in their raw form, and then the next step, which is the second, is to write down an outline for the paper. So that's how the way you intend to write out the paper, or to like explain your ideas. So that's what we have in the outline. Then, okay, this part of the point was agreed by us that we're going to break it also into smaller outlines. It was an agreement from the group, so that we can put flesh to the ideas we had from the outline. Sorry, from the outline we had to put more flesh to our ideas. And then the next step, which is the fourth, is for us to consult related literature, support or disagree. So that's where we get different arguments, which it takes us to our next step, where we get different arguments to develop our own idea, to refine what we already have. Then the next is to send it to a peer or a mentor to review. And then when they do that, we amend to reflect whatever observation that is valid. Any observation that improves our work is what we'll add, and remove that which any other observation. Then we forward to a publisher to review again, and then to publish.
Okay. Okay, great. Now, when you look at this, one thing to keep in mind, whenever you write and you find various perspectives, on number 4, why do you think I highlighted the support or disagree? How many versions of truth is there?
Well, I believe people might have different perspectives to the thought or the idea. Many people might have thought of it or written about it, and they might have seen it from a different perspective.
So something I would get rid of here is get rid of the whole disagree or support. It puts you into duality. It's right or wrong. Okay. When you consult the literature, you want multiplicity. Okay. This is the ideal outcome of your research. You understand the word multiplicity? Yes. Right. Multiple perspectives, multiple realities, multiple truths. Okay. So see it in that lens when you look at the research. Okay. Now, same thing here, number 6. How many peers, how many mentors? You said 1 in when you presented. Is 1 good enough?
Okay. We have like 2 or 3 peers and then a mentor.
Okay, but why 1 mentor? Anybody can respond. Why just 1 mentor?
Is that a good question?
Yeah, it's a question. Why only 1 mentor?
I don't think there should be a limit on the, should be limited to 1 mentor anyway. So it could be more than 1, depending on how broad you want the input to be.
Okay, but don't say could be. In the best case scenario, if you were writing the best possible article, how many mentors minimum? Think of it from the ideal perspective, not the minimal.
I think my only worry here is that you don't want to have too many voices at once, or else that could just complicate everything you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So that would be a major deterrent for me. So I'll probably just find a supervisor or just 1 person, and that I feel they have understanding of the subject, and move from there.
Okay, so there's a little bit of self-limitation you've placed on there, right? Too many voices, too many perspectives. As a scholar, that's what you want. Your job is to be able to synthesize multiple perspectives. Okay, be comfortable with getting 2 to 3 at least different perspectives on anything you write. 1 isn't enough. Okay, 1 is very biased. Okay, here you also put peers, right? How many peers?
We agree to have like 2 or 3.
Okay. Now, what's missing here? Finish the word.
Audit.
Audit.
Audience.
Okay. Your readers, right? Okay. So in the previous one, we just talked about multiple perspectives and different peoples. If you're gonna specify peers and mentors, you should have audience in here. Whoever's gonna be reading it, they should get something out of it. That's a good form of feedback. Okay? That'll tell you if your article is speaking to them. Right? Okay. All right. The next complexity here in your process is the validity of observations and suggestions. Okay. How do you determine that? How do you determine if somebody's opinion on your writing is valid or not?
If it's based on facts, I guess.
Yeah, but their feedback is going to most likely be based on their opinion, their experiences.
So some people can be biased about their opinions, like if it's black, they just can't see it any other way based on their experiences.
Right? So how do you determine what is valid? If I tell you that this is satin black versus pearl black, right? Different colors of cars, you've seen the different shades of black, military black. How do you tell what is valid?
Maybe if it depends on the level of authority the person has on the area of interest. If they have the requisite expertise, then you can take their opinion a bit more seriously than somebody who is not as experienced. Or
Okay.
if they can demonstrate that they understand what it is that you're trying to get across.
Mm-hmm. Right? So you can look at what is valid based on authority, depending on the objective of your article, right? I would typically, depending on the politics and the various nature of what you're trying to publish, authority will go a little bit later in order of priority. I'll probably put the practical and expertise first as your ways to determine what is valid, and authority last. But if you're in a very political situation, the authority may be a huge aspect. Sometimes you publish something for political reasons and not for practical reasons. Okay? But you want to have a somewhat of a decision tree here to say what is valid. Okay? And what am I forgetting before I go to publisher? In the previous process, you had 2-3 times of this.
Edit.
Yeah. Edit. Don't forget that process. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, good. Now we're getting to process thinking. Let's move on to the next one. What group was that? That was the one we just did?
3.
That was group 3? Okay. All right, this one, who's presenting this one? Somebody's got to take the lead. Okay, go ahead, Abdul. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we reviewed everything that everyone had submitted and picked out the similar processes in everyone's writing. And so all of these, there was a consensus on everything that's written here. And then we talked about how we would organize it in a very logical way based on what you had given us. So everyone agreed that, well, you have to sort of concretize whatever ideas you have first, and the best way to do that would be to put it in written form, and then organizing them so that they make sense logically and you're able to convey the information to whatever audience it is that you intend to see it. Then, still going with the theme of organizing, then separating your ideas as clearly as possible, and that you can achieve that by outlining the piece. Also taking from your tutorials on how to structure scholarly writing with the introduction, the body, the conclusion. Then you need research, because you don't want to do research before, you want to do it after, because then you sort of are a bit more secure in your originality of thought and perspective, and then you see what is already out there and find what is a close fit to what it is that you're trying to convey, and then you review. We didn't get too specific about the review because we didn't have time, but the review can include peer reviews or proofreading, copy editing, etc.
Okay, you're missing one key part here.
Writing the actual piece.
Writing the document.
Our bad.
Yeah, okay. All right. Now, those of you that have not presented yet, you have to start thinking, how do I present in a way that's different from the other group? Okay. Okay, next group.
Okay, thank you very much. This group has Muawiyah and Sultan, Alamin and Halima. So the process as we have it is we begin by mind mapping. Mind mapping means making a mental note of an idea you're supposed to write on. For example, I want to write on COVID-19, the impact of COVID-19 on a phenomena. I have so many different phenomena I can write on. For example, I can write on the impact of COVID-19 on Kashmir Brand Fellowship Program, or for example, on construction contracts, or any other. So at this point, I begin to make a mental note on which one, and I then choose a particular idea I want to write on. The next thing is, after agreeing on that, I make a research on the idea. Which of these different ideas do I have enough information, or that what I'm going to write will be impactful, will be meaningful to the readers? I make a decision based on the research, and then at this point, I get to outline and organize my thoughts. What will constitute a good write-up to convey the idea I intend to write on. For example, if it's on construction contracts, for example, how the COVID-19 pandemic affects the duration of contract, how it affects payment, how it affects, the way workers interact on construction sites, or when I'm writing on a KIF program, for example, how it affects the different components of the program. What do we have about the program from the brochure of the program? How do fellowships go about obstructions like this? So all these ideas, I begin to put them down and then organize them in such a way that they will be logical and they will convey a very good meaning. After that, I now identify relevant literature that will support and shape the logical order I have been able to produce from the outline I have. After this, we go to reading and synthesizing those materials. I have had all the materials, I've attached each of them to the individual outlines or the points I have to write about. I now read and synthesize, come up with an idea on the way the logical presentation of the write-up is going to be, review the literature. After this, I now polish through consultation, either peer review, asking questions, interaction with experts or peers, and then agree on the best perspective about the issue. And then I begin to write. So this is the process as we have agreed. Thank you.
Okay. So what areas of improvement do you see, the rest of the groups?
Hello?
Yeah. What areas of improvement do you see in this particular outline or process?
I think the writing proper comes after the reading and synthesizing. That's the literature review, before the polishing. Yes.
Yeah. You also got to the writing part, okay? So what else? What other things needs to be enhanced?
Editing.
Okay, editing will be the last one. So consultation with who?
With peers or mentors, as the case may be. Anybody that has expertise, anybody that can contribute meaningfully to the write-up.
Okay, how many?
1 to 3, it depends on availability of the experts. Of course, 1 will not be adequate, maybe from 3, depending on who you have available and the expertise available.
Okay, so something to think about in the way you're thinking about this, it's not about depending on availability, okay? It's your job as the author to secure that. Don't make excuses. You set a goal to go get 3 experts to review this, make it happen. Okay? You should be developing those relationships now before you write anything. Okay? I have over a dozen experts in different fields at my disposal at any time that I need an article to be reviewed when I write something. You should have that. Don't make excuses for anything, okay? But look at the way you're thinking about this, all of you, right? It's not about availability. It's not about whether you can get this or not. You design it. You make it happen. Okay? That's how you improve, right? Okay. Good. All right, moving on to the next one. Okay.
Sorry, one moment. That's the wrong one. So I shared a couple. I shared another sort of.
The later one. Okay. Let me
Yeah,
grab that.
sorry. Let me share it again so you don't have to look through it. So I shared a later one.
Yes, got it.
Not that one either.
That's the latest one. Okay, not the new one.
Thank you. I didn't add or subtract anything.
So does this represent the group then, or your own thoughts?
No, it's the entire group.
Okay. All right, so who's presenting besides you?
So everyone is doing one. That's our own special way of doing it.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
So it's not coming up.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had it on my screen. There we go.
So what we did was we compared everyone's work and we found similarities into mine and Sefulai's, and we found similarities in Afset's and Abubakar's. And then we understood that we're just coming from different angles, but hitting the same nail on the head. So what we did was we tried to combine everyone's information together alongside the new information you gave us. So we said morning or night, one can start thinking about the idea. In particular, to the sitting in the restroom, it really, really helps. And some of us work well at night, some of us work well in the morning. So we said it will work out both ways, either way anyway. And then we went on to say that we're going to then add bullet points of what we already know. So for example, if it's COVID-19, what do we already know about COVID-19? What's the situation? What have we read? So we would put that into a document to help us gain further understanding. And then we went on to say that we would break the high level ideas into smaller ones, because for example, COVID-19 it's a very broad topic. So COVID-19 is in terms of what? Is it in terms of politics? Is it in terms of governance? Is it been in terms of like the health sector? Is it in terms of population or death? So we're going to break it down, or even business responsibility, responsible businesses. So we're going to break that down and narrow it down to make sure that we're not going off topic. So break down that idea. And then we said that then once we're able to narrow down the specifics, then we would create a timeline. So I think Abubakar is next.
Thank you very much, Aisha. I think then after the timeline, we talk about how to organize the ideas with flow. What should come first? What should come at the middle? What should serve as a kind of conclusion or recommendation in the course of writing the scholarly piece or article? And then you research to support each point we've highlighted before, maybe the specifics. You get literatures that will support these ideas if you're through, and you can also get literatures that will not be in support of these ideas to give you a holistic view of the whole point. And then afterwards, I've already talked about input useful literature links into Excel, input literature links into Excel sheet or any other document, so to keep track of the point you're writing. Maybe in the course of writing another point, you might end up explaining the previous point. Putting it in Excel will put it into more perspectives. And with that, you can move on to revising it online. You revise outline based on research synthesis. All the researches you've had, then you go back and revise. With that, you move forward to writing. And I think Hafsa will take that, writing, editing, and publishing.
Thank you very much, but I'm going to make a correction on number 6, research support for each point, which includes consultation as well. I gave that, maybe she forgot to put it. There's consultation, which is part of our research support for this document. Then, so I'm going to talk about writing. After you have your framework, and you have organized your ideas, you have consulted people, then you start writing. After you bring out the first draft, then you take some time away from the first draft. Then this will give you the chance to develop new ideas, maybe to even change the presentation, how you first decided to do it, you can change it. Then at this point, your second draft is ready, then you give it out for editing, and then the last one, Saifullah will talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, it is essential after going all through this process to publish, that is to share your work with other people. So it is very paramount that you figure out the right channel to share your work. You can't just pick an article which is talking about economics, and then you try to publish it in a health journal. So it's essential to figure out where the article is going to make the most impact, where your audience are, where people will read and actually understand and see the value of your work. Thank you.
Okay, so looking at you said the number 6 should have consultation. Consultation with who?
So for consultation, the way I do, and that was why I suggested that is depending on what I am going to write. I don't just send my manuscript arbitrarily. I send, if I want someone to check on the grammar, I'll look for someone that has strength in English language, I will send it, and then the technicality, I'll send it to different persons. So by the time I get the contributions, then I will harmonize everything into one document. So it depends. You can send it to mentor, to technical mentor, professional mentor. Thank you.
Right, adding those groups in, okay. So ideally have a target number for each one of them, as we talked about already, right? Oh, okay, good. All right, and I think we have the last group here. Okay, final group.
This is not a group work. This is my own initial work. I think all the groups must have presented, or I'm not sure, but this is my own personal that I submitted.
Am I missing one here? Group 3, group process. Okay, all the groups have gone? Yes, okay, all right.
We've all presented.
Can you reload your document on the chat area? Must have lost that document somewhere along the lines. Oh, what's the name of the document? What's the name of your document?
No, I think every group has presented.
All the group did present?
I think we've all presented, yes.
Yes.
All presented? Okay, all right, great. Okay, so Tahiru, which one do you think is the most powerful presentation?
Doc, you're mute.
Oh, yes. The very first present. I don't know, I can't remember the name of the group, but they were the best as far as I'm concerned.
You think the first one is the best one?
First set of people that came, yeah.
Okay, why?
Why? Because they captured everything that we talked about all day, and they were very clear as to the outline, and there's not too much to correct.
Okay, so from a content perspective, you feel that they're the best one.
Yeah.
From the presentation perspective, which one's the best?
This is tricky. I would prefer to do this offline.
No, don't be nice. We're not here to be nice.
I'll stick with the first one.
Okay. So for me, the most memorable one was the group that had everybody present, right? So just by design, the process of your presenting is different from everyone else. Everyone else had one person speaking. One group had everybody speak.
Yeah, but
Although
Ted, we are wait, just a minute. We agreed that the person who is going to present is the person who has been speaking the list in the group. It was agreed ab initio that it won't be multiple presentations. I know that they changed the format. Yes, they were creative a bit, but it would be unfair on the other members if we give that to them, because you said that the person who will present will be the one who has been speaking the list, so that we give those people the opportunity to now talk.
Yeah.
That's why I will not be on that.
Okay. Now, how does that play into the yes sir mentality that we talked about in the beginning?
No, there are rules. I mean, there are rules. I mean, if you set up a rule, a presentation is wants the rules set.
Right? But who says what I say is the rule? How does that play into the yes sir mentality though?
Well, I don't agree that this is the yes sir mentality. It would have been different if there was an issue being discussed and a phenomenon that was brought up, and then you said it has to be this way. But we agreed on how we're going to present, and everybody presented that way. If some people went against the grain, we should penalize them actually for doing that.
Okay. Now, so
Wow.
go ahead.
I think the rationale behind all of us presenting was because actually people in our groups have been very vocal. So it was hard to actually see who was less vocal. So as a result, we just said we will all take turns. So finding the least vocal person, how do we measure that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I understand where you're going, but you should have quickly made, when you're making a presentation, you should have quickly told us that, look, this is why we're taking this exception. And then we move on, Well, you didn't say. You should have actually told us, we're making this exception because, yeah, we could not find somebody who was less vocal in the group, but this is how we're going to do it.
And we were told to be creative.
Then we know that, yes, you're sticking to the rules, but because of
All right. Now, so here's the fun part about the whole yes sir mentality, right? I said in the beginning, select the person that spoke the least, right? Haven't been too vocal. That was the starting rule of what I said, right? After 2 presentations in, I said, I changed the rule. Be creative. Do something that the other group haven't done, right? Now, whether you did it ahead of time or we did it later on doesn't really matter. Most rules in society are set by a few people at one point of time, okay? If you simply follow the rule, you will be like everyone else, okay? Always find ways to push the rules, push the boundaries. The boundaries are set by some people at some point of time that make sense at that point in time. It may not always make sense. Be very strategic on when you can do that, okay? As we talked about in the expectations in the beginning of class, experiment, right? Be challenged, challenge the rules, okay? This is where critical thinking comes in, okay? I did give you an outlet to change the rule, right?
Well,
you all could,
how many people took note of that outlet? I didn't. Because you're beneficial. Okay, that's
right. So here's the fun part about thinking differently, right? Okay. All right. So that was a great example to kind of scholarly, critically assess your thought process. Okay. All right, let's go back to the presentation piece. Now, something that was kind of interesting to me was the time management aspect between the group. So we're going to kind of take on even more challenging activity here in a second, okay? So the art of synthesis is what you have to do as a scholar, no matter where you're at. Synthesis calls for looking at things from different perspectives, whether it's experts, whether it's peers, whether it's research articles, all of that, you're putting it into perspective. So never be afraid to get multiple perspectives, okay? But don't overload yourself with too much that you can't do anything with, right? usually 3 different perspectives is a good number to kind of ballpark number to start with. Okay, as you get better, you can go to 5. But typically, if you go too much better, then you need a computer to help you do some of those things. Okay, so 3 to 5 is typically the range you want to go with multiple perspectives, whether it's from a group of specific experts or peers or possible readers. Your job is to put it together to make sense of everything. Okay, and what we just did was a practice of synthesis, right? You have 4 or 5 group members, all with different processes, and you put it together into one simple process, right? Now, you've done that, okay? Now, but your time management was a little bit challenging, right? Now, I'm gonna make this even a little more challenging for you and see if you can manage this process, okay? So in your group chat area, you see all 5 different ones, right? How much time do you think you would need? I'm gonna load up the ones I've revised, so you'll see the edits in there. So these are the ones that are the latest, greatest ones that we updated. Okay, I think those are the 5, right? Now, your task is to review these 5 and come up with 1 that we'll use for the class, okay? Now, you have 20 members in this group. How are you gonna manage the time? How long do you wanna take for this activity?
Ten minutes.
How long?
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay, Dorcas?
Sorry, I don't really understand the assignment. Could you repeat, please?
Yep, it'll be the same as what you did in the group, except you're gonna be using the new 5, the outcomes of the 5 groups, but you have 20 people to come to a consensus on what the process should be.
20 minutes or even 25.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. 10 minutes per person.
Okay, so we have a range from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. What do you think is reasonable? Think about the number of people, and you have 5
20 minutes.
processes. 20 minutes, or we'll take it right in the middle. Okay. Now, all right, so we're gonna go with 20 minutes, okay? Now, especially those of you that are engineers, you should be able to plan out this process internally to discuss this outcome. Okay, in 20 minutes, how are you gonna break down that time? How are you gonna achieve the goal of having one single process for writing scholarly papers? Okay? Okay, ready? Okay, 20 minutes starts, go.
I think Mawia should coordinate this group. Mawia.
Time is running out already.
Chairman.
Raka. Abu, please take over.
Mawia is frozen.
Someone has people in his background regularly.
Zainab is the best to handle.
Why not have such a takeover?
Abubakar is a
I
chairman.
will suggest we put all the items together in one document, and then one person shares the screen. So who can do that? And then we deliberate for 10 minutes and edit in 5 minutes and share.
I think Joy has
Okay.
a very good laptop, which will not hang. So she should help us compile it. Then,
I've compiled the document already. Posted it on the
Okay,
chat.
please share your screen.
Share your screen.
Thanks, Rama.
I'll have to go off if I can share screen. So someone else will have to.
I think first and foremost, let's change the fonts. So let's meet. So do we have a timekeeper or we don't?
I'll be the timekeeper.
Okay.
We've gotten like, have we got spent up to 3 minutes or 5 minutes?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, okay.
So I
Trevor.
think to make it, I think we should all just type the group we will going with. We should just type it on the chat section. So there are 5 groups, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just the one that you are more comfortable with, just write it. And we'll spend.
Or we could deliberate and agree, and then Trevor edits the document he has already merged.
Rather than taking one, we can. There's good points in every point.
Yeah, I agree with Victoria.
So can we go through the points that will stay, like what's common out of all of them and the one that will stay? So first one, mind mapping.
Can Joy say something? Can you hear me? Yeah, we
Yes.
haven't
Joy.
really, can we agree who's going to coordinate this? We're all throwing different ideas. Like, let someone coordinate it and then. Pelumi, can you continue since you were making suggestions? And
I think we said Abubakar should, right?
Yeah, he's
not
a chief.
Let Pelumi just.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay, fine.
Okay, yeah, Abubakar, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello.
I agree that you are the chair. So
I can hear you.
Hello?
We need another
Go
network.
ahead.
Pelumi, can you take over, please?
Pelumi will take over.
Someone should take over,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, so we were supposed to select one of these documents, right?
No, I think getting points from all 5 and creating one.
Yeah, harmonize everything together.
Okay, so we already have all the documents into one. We already have. So what we are going to do is, I think this should just go around in 10 seconds. You should tell us what you either want to stay or you want to be removed.
The topic of interest should stay.
Yes. And
Writing down your ideas should stay.
I didn't get that.
Tell me. I
Writing
think
down
what
your
we are to do
ideas.
is, I think, are we not to follow his outline?
That process is effective.
Hello, Pelumi.
Yeah,
Pelumi, I suggest we work with his outline. Then we select one that fits the first item in its own outline. That's of all the work. That's how we're going to go through the stages.
I can't even see. Okay, yeah.
So let's get rid of the
12 more minutes. 12 minutes.
Group process needs to go because group process, everyone has said something that group process already has. So we can get rid of that. We can get rid of writing process without the one alternate Pelumi have written. Again, the things that are there is already been covered in one of these 3 other points as well. I think only so that needs to go.
Who is editing?
Apart from the 3 to 4 people.
Hi. So if I could just come in, I would say, so we have on the first row 1, 2, 3, the short one, that's the group process. I don't know what group that is. Let's just take that out because it's already reflected in all of them, and just try and cross match and see what applies. So that is out. We have 4 to deal with, and just try and harmonize them. If you ask me, I would say let's take the longest one, which I believe would have captured everything in all the other groups, except someone identifies something that is not in this first one, the one in the first box, upper left box.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we take that, we need to change
let's
it.
just find. We need to
change it. So we're told that duality or there are some things that need to be changed there. So we're told that you could give out to 3 to 4 people because he corrected out them alternates work to 3 to 4 people.
Yeah, so let's just insert
3 to 4.
Let's just insert what is missing, use that as the template and just insert what's available in all this because we're running out of time.
Exactly.
Actually,
who is editing the documents? Whose screen are we seeing? Who is sharing this document?
I think it's Dr.
This is Dr.
It's Dr. Sun's screen.
But Trevor is editing.
Trevor screen.
Okay, so Trevor, please take out that group process.
Oh, so I am typing a new document, collating all what we are saying, and I'll share when we are done. So
okay, so
we're making our deliberations and I'm creating a new
we
document.
have 10 minutes. 10 minutes left.
That's also fine.
Thank you,
That's also fine. So Trevor, since we agreed that we are going to be going with this first one, so just copy this first one and put it on the document.
Then we start it.
The longest one. I'm working with it already.
So the longest one.
So the first point here is money or night. Start thinking about the idea. Is that fine?
Pick a topic of interest should be the first one. To me, sure.
Okay. Do we all agree to that?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah. So Trevor, make that the first. Pick a topic of interest. So the second one, using the same template, add bullet points for what you know already. So is that fine? Should that go at the second point?
Right?
That stays, I think that's fine.
That's number 2, not number 3.
Okay. It's number 3 because it
okay, sorry, number 3. Number 3. Number 3, yeah, number 3. Yeah, so break high-level ideas into smaller one, narrowing down topic. I can see what's there.
Yeah, so we just say high-level ideas into specifics.
Okay. Yeah, so number 4, break high levels ideas into specifics.
Okay.
Yeah, so what should be number 5, timeline?
Create timelines and achievables.
Trevor, do you have that?
Yeah, I do,
what
but
is the time?
in my opinion, I think timeline can be taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think timeline should be taken away too, since it cut across all.
Yeah.
And we are arranging the items in sequential order. So I don't think timeline should be there.
Timeline can
I
go.
don't agree, but
yeah. So
let's just have a consensus.
I think we have a consensus already.
Can you just Trevor, can you just include these 2 to 3 peer or 2 to 3 mentors? So that in case time is not against us, we can just put it and send it.
Okay, no problem.
Because it's very vital.
Yeah.
That's number 6, yes?
Yeah.
So that's number 6. It's just including the numbers now.
Yeah. I'm doing that.
Okay, so the next one should be, we jumped organize your ideas with flow.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it comes before the research support.
Trevor, do you have that?
Yes, I do. So what I have is 1, pick a topic of interest. 2, morning or night, start thinking about the idea. 3, add bullet points for what you already know. 4, break high level ideas into specifics. 5, organize your ideas with flow. And 6, research support for each point. Consultation with 2 to 3 mentors, 2 to 3 pairs, and 3 to 5 readers.
Okay. Yeah.
6 more minutes.
Number
how many?
7.
This when it's 3 minutes, we should just stop if we can.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Can you include authority, expertise, and practical?
Okay. Yeah, I will.
Can I explain that part? So basically, number 7, input useful literature is sort of like as you're reading articles that is giving you supporting ideas, you're saving the links and where you found them, so you don't just throw them away. So it's sort of like a bibliography. So you're storing all these things so you can go back to click on them later. So that's where that's what that means.
I think that's okay. I think that should stay because at the end of the day, we'll need to acknowledge our sources.
Yes.
Okay, it's fine.
So on number 7, we need to put this authority, expertise, and practical.
I put that already, Hafsa.
All right. Okay.
Trevor, please, this morning or night, just remove it.
Yeah.
Doesn't just allow. Start thinking about the idea. This morning or night.
Yeah. I thought of it too.
Okay, it's fine. We can remove it. It can go.
All right.
But I feel it's important.
I think there were logical reasons for that because again they had to it was
and it's a process. It was a process.
Oh, but morning or night, just keep thinking.
Morning. Thank you very much. Morning or night.
Let's move on. Come back to review. So let's just move
on. We have only 2 minutes to round up.
And
so, Trevor, I think from this last one, my group work, I think you should just copy from right to the end. From number 6, just copy to the end and paste it.
Which is your group's work now?
The one in tabs.
Yes.
Okay, so that's proofread, about re-edit, submit, and publish.
Yes.
Okay, I think that would be okay.
Okay.
Since we don't have time.
So I agree. I'm sort of worried that we don't have. I think timeline plays or time scale plays an important role in anything one wants to do. When do you hope to achieve this? And if you don't have that written down, I don't see how you could possibly achieve something in the required time.
So see, before the write, you put timeline.
Sorry?
We're going to talk about the idea. The time has already commenced.
Yeah, but you have to get a deadline. You have to get a deadline that by this time around.
That's how you keep yourself going.
That means timeline should come as number 2.
Dorcas, what is it by time? When it's 3 minutes to go, let's just know.
3 more minutes. 3 more minutes.
Okay, then, Trevor, if you don't mind, you can just paste it here so that we all have a visual look of it, please.
Yeah, so I'm putting in the final touches what Pelumi suggested.
Okay, please, as soon as you're done, just post it here.
Okay, so
please run through what you have last time.
I'm going to run through now. What I have is pick a topic of interest.
Let's have a visual look of it.
He's talking.
Okay, pick a topic of
interest. Let him just read it out.
Idea. Can we stop?
Add bullet points for what you already know. Break high-level ideas into specifics. Organize your ideas with flow. Research support for each point. Consultation with 2 to 3 mentors, 2 to 3 peers, or 3 to 5 readers. And then these people could be practical, or based on expertise or authorities. And then impute useful literature links into Excel sheets or any other documents to keep track. Then, then I move to proofread and edit 1 to 3 times, give out to 3 to 4 people with unique perspectives to read, and then re-edit again 1 to 2 times, submit and publish.
And Trevor, was there writing side?
Is there writing? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Trevor.
Context is very important.
You missed out the synthesis.
Okay, it's right. Okay, good.
Yes, research synthesis. Put it in a
You
context.
missed out on that. That's different from the literature. You putting the literature in documents. It's completely different.
Yeah. How many minutes more?
Okay, so I would go over it again. Just listen. Pick a topic of interest. Start thinking about the idea. Add bullet points for what you already know. Break high-level ideas into specifics. Organize your ideas with flow. Research support for each point. Consultation with 2 to 3 mentors, 2 to 3 pairs, or 3 to 5 readers. They can be practical or based on expertise or authorities. Impute huge literature links into Excel sheets or any other documents to keep track. Revise outline based on research synthesis. Write. Proofread 1 to 3 times. Give out to 3 to 4 people with unique perspectives to read. Re-edit 1 to 2 times. Submit and publish.
Submit and publish.
That's okay. Let's all see it, please.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Deadline.
So I'm going to upload it.
Aisha, I think if you are going to put a timeline, then it shouldn't even come as number 4. In my own opinion, it should come maybe number 2. Once you know you want to write, you should have a timeline for everything.
Yeah.
But timeline is very essential in writing.
You can just say put timeline at the top.
Trevor, share.
So I've shared. Do you want me to add timeline and which number?
Trevor, add.
We barely have 30 seconds, Sha.
Please just share. Forget about the timeline.
It's shared already.
Anybody explanation?
All right, very interesting process. So, who is leading?
No, it's Pelumi that led.
Yeah, but I'm not going to explain. I think Joy, I nominate Joy to tell us about it.
So, let me ask the question again. Who is leading?
So
Think about what we talked about in the beginning. Leading is about managing the content, not the content. Okay, who's
Trevor.
leading?
Trevor.
Okay, so I would lead. I would call on Saudi to give us to talk about the document that we had agreed on.
Right, we're not talking about the content here. Okay, in your 20 minutes, who was leading?
Oh, okay. So it was Pelumi.
Why was Pelumi the leader?
Well, yeah,
He tried to coordinate the group.
Pelumi is very good with structures and organizations generally.
Okay. What else? Why do you think he's the leader?
Because he determined the context, so what we were going to do, and then designated people to act on each part that he had determined. So yeah.
Okay. Did every person have input?
Yeah. Yes, everybody did.
No?
No.
Raise your hand if you didn't talk at all. Raise your hand if you didn't talk at all. Put your hand up.
No, it's not everyone.
Not everyone, right? Why not?
My connection went off, so I.
That's really like.
Again, it was more of, if you have an opposite opinion, then you let us know, because many of us actually agreed with the flow, so we didn't need everybody to talk. If you had an opposing opinion, then yeah.
So your silence means agreement?
Kinda.
Okay, that's a very huge assumption. Okay, now, as scholarly authors, your job is to seek opinions from multiple perspectives, right? If somebody doesn't speak, you cannot assume they agree or disagree. They may disagree, but don't have the courage to speak up. They may disagree, or their stomach is hurting, so they're focused on their stomach, or they're hungry for snack, or they need to go to the bathroom, right? There's many reasons why people don't speak sometimes. You cannot assume anything. So when you lead in a synthesis process, you have to make sure you get the opinions of all key relevant members. In this environment, you have 20 people to get opinions from. Your leadership process needs to consider, how do you get opinions from 20 people in a timely manner? Every person should have been talking at some point, right? Lordson, you didn't say a word. What were you thinking in that 20 minutes?
I was observing, sir, and listening to other opinions. If I didn't disagree with anyone, if I hadn't disagreed with anyone at all, I would have spoken. If I had disagreed with anyone at all, I would have spoken.
Okay. So why didn't you say
I approved. I approved of what we agreed, sir.
Okay, but being silent doesn't market you. You have original thought that's different from the group, right?
Sure.
Okay, if I don't know your thought, nobody will recognize you. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
You have to find a path to speak up. And in many instances, multiple people were speaking at the same time. So there wasn't a process in this, right? Now, Palumi was the assumed leader because he's the first one that spoke up and had some resemblance of a process, but the process wasn't comprehensive. Remember how we started this class? What did Zainab do in the introductions?
Yeah, she coordinated it.
Yeah, she coordinated, right? Every person got a chance. They called their own attention. Palumi could have done the same exact thing. 30 seconds. What are your thoughts? Boom, go. Next 30 seconds, go. Next 30 seconds, go. Right?
Yeah.
Making sure everybody has a voice. When you do writing, you have to do the same thing. Except articles, research articles, perspectives is not in your face like this meeting here. You will not see them. So they're much, much easier to miss. Okay? So when you do synthesis, you have to go and look for things from multiple perspectives. So let's say you're in a leadership program, right? You've looked at leadership studies, right? Now, are your leadership studies, when you looked at them, are they from the business field? Are they from the psychology field? Have you looked at them from the sociology field or historical fields? They all have different perspectives, right? If you only research business perspectives, you'll get what's called behaviorism outcomes. Business only looks at the behaviors of leaders. The psychology world will give you the mental construct of how leaders think and how they differ in the thought process before behaviors happen, right? Okay, each different field will give you a different perspective. Your job is to go find that. That's what synthesis is all about. It's not about looking at only those that speak up, only those that you can see. Okay?
Noted.
All right, so we have this process here. It's pretty well developed, right? Compare this from your initial ones that you all wrote down individually. Do you see the big difference? Right? Some of you have 5 steps, and we have 6 steps. Now you have 13 steps in here. Okay? The idea of putting this in a timeline is a very good one. So this is what it can potentially look like. So when you put it into timeline, you want to put this into an Excel sheet so you can calculate time. Okay, so in looking at how you design your plan in the writing process, allocate time and also potentially when you want to do this, right? In one of the articles, start thinking about that. You had the morning and evening, right? So morning time is the most creative time, evening time is the most creative time, whatever that is, put that time there, right? How long will that take? Allocate a time schedule, right? So whatever number of minutes, put that into a plan. That way you can guide yourself in writing efficiently, okay? All right. So any questions on this process? No? Okay. I will send that to you in a little bit here. All right, so one of the other interesting aspects of this is your management of communication in this process. A number of you talked about the need to, for Trevor to put it on the screen to show it, right? And Trevor didn't hear that, he just kept on repeating it verbally, okay? Now, communication modalities, have you studied this or do you know what this is? No? Okay, so 3 primary communication modalities, okay? Visual, auditory, kinesthetics, okay? Visual is by seeing, right? Kinesthetics, learning by doing, okay? You have to be taking action, doing practice with it, okay? Auditory is, of course, listening, all right? Now, using the annotate button, click on annotate, and then click on the text, and write down what you think the percentages are. They add up to 100%, typical of any environment. Okay, what percentage of people are visual? What percentage are auditory? What percentage are kinesthetics? Give me some numbers. You can just write on the, using the annotate button. %20 kinesthetics. Okay, Trevor, what's the rest of it? 60 auditory, okay. Okay, other percentages? Okay. So who put 40% here? So 40, 20, 40 is the generic breakdown of population. Okay. Now, when you're talking as a group, if you just talk, one reason why people don't remember it or don't think about it and can't get your information is because only 20% is auditory. Okay, which means you say stuff, you'll forget it or they don't get it, especially in a list format. That's why many people would try to tell you to show it visually and then you didn't hear them, right? 40% is visual, 40% is kinesthetics, okay? Now, this is also one of the tools you will use in your final editing of your document, okay? We'll go over that tomorrow. But basically, once you're done writing your article, once you've done the editing part, you're gonna go through one of the processes in the editing is to look at your communication modalities. What percentage of words are you using in visual words? What percentage of words are you using kinesthetic words? A choice of words will speak to people or ignore them, okay? If someone's very visual, you need to use words that are visually oriented. Imagine seeing a world like this. Can you see this, right? A lot of visual words. People that are kinesthetic, you have to use action-oriented words, okay? Leaders made an impact. That's action-oriented, okay? The choice of words makes a big difference on how this changes over time, okay? We'll talk more about that tomorrow as well, all right? Okay, all right, let's go ahead and take a break for bathroom and other purposes and coming up with new ideas and so forth. So as you take a break, reflect on your leadership process. All of you are being groomed to become leaders for your state and potentially for your country, okay? Reflect on why did Palumi speak first and you didn't. Each one of you should be taking a leadership role in driving this, all right? So all of this should be a very good activity to reflect on. And why did you choose not to lead? And if you did, Palumi, how can you improve on leading this group? Okay. Leading a group in a process becomes extremely important. And this doesn't matter for age, expertise, authority. Most people have no concept of process. All right. So let me give you one quick short story. 2006, I was at a UN conference called Global Compact. Do you all know that? Global Compact? Right, it's a UN initiative, right? So in this convention, there was 600 professors, HR or executives, CEOs of major companies, many parts of the world, okay? They use a process called appreciative inquiry, which you may already have heard of, right? And everybody goes to an area that they're interested in. Okay, of course, I went to the area about making education something for the world, for a better world. Okay, so I went there. Okay, this is 2006, along with 30 other people that are professors, CEOs of various companies. We all got there, and we looked at the big easel board they had, and they basically said, creating the world's best education system. And everybody was just talking on the side. So I said to the group, hey, if we want to define something, we were supposed to come up with strategy to achieve it within the Global Compact framework. Said, what exactly is the best education system? How do we define that? So a few people started talking. Another professor, he was gray hair, the elbow on the pad, pads on the elbow and the sport jacket, right? Very old, traditional looking. Says, oh, I think we should share who we are first and introduce ourselves. And others agreed. Said, okay, I'm the professor of this and this, and his introduction was this long. He went on for about 2 minutes. Well, we have 45 minutes for this activity, by the way. Okay, he went on for 2 minutes about his credentials. Then everybody in the group went on, and it took about 10 minutes. Okay, everybody introduced themselves. And then somebody says, oh, we only have 30 some minutes left, 35 minutes left. We got to get some strategies together. How do we do this? Right? I sat and watched. Okay, guess who Jay picked as a leader for that group?
The professor.
Nope.
The one who reminded them of the time left.
Nope.
You?
Yep. Okay. Now, they picked me because I asked a question that challenged them how to think about the content of what is being presented on the visual side, where the professor only said, I am important. In context, I am important. My title is important. Let me talk about myself. Okay. Two statements from two different people. He looked much older, much more authoritative, right? Had all these titles behind him, but he didn't know anything about process. Nobody knew. I said, okay, we have 35 minutes. Here's how we're going to do this. We're going to take 10 minutes, do this, 20 minutes, do this, and blah, blah, blah. And I broke it down, broke into separate groups, and then brought them all back because 30 people is way too many to have a discussion or anything, right? Broke it all down, just like a typical engineer would for a problem, okay? Now, there was CEOs in the group, professors, and this and that, a lot of accomplished individuals, but they did not know how to manage a group within a process within a time frame. This becomes a very, very powerful tool if you know how to do that, okay? So think about that. We're gonna do more group activities later on in your process, but think about how you can choose to lead. It doesn't have to do anything with authority. It has to do with knowing your process and how to make that possible, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and take a break. We'll start at 10 minutes after the hour. Okay, so 18-minute break, okay?
Sorry, Dr. Sun. Hi,
Yes?
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
So from the timetable you sent to us, we are supposed to be rounding up in 7 minutes, 5 o'clock Nigerian time.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, we already went.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. All right. My apologies. I was thinking we were further on than this. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and finish this then. Okay. All right, so we'll discuss two more slides. So the first one is looking at the right content, okay? In order for you to be powerful in what you're going to communicate, everything has to do with your ability to come up with the right content. And what is that right content? The right content has to do with your unique ability to think about something that is different from others, okay? You cannot go out and say the same thing that everybody else says, okay? If you're gonna talk about the sky, right, let's take the sky for example, okay? What color is the sky?
Blue.
Okay, now you sound like everybody else. Give me something more interesting.
Green.
White.
It depends on the weather.
Okay, good. Depends on the weather, right? Now give me something more unique.
Yellow.
Okay. The sky is yellow. Good. Okay, now whatever idea you come up with, it has to be reasonable, right? But still unique enough. Okay, now let's do this as a simple practice. Okay, we're gonna go around the group. Each person is gonna describe the sky in 1 or 2 words. Once those 1 or 2 words is used, you cannot use it again. Okay. And then come up with something unique. So all of you think about something original about the sky. There's plenty of colors and shades and environments about the sky you can talk about, right? So be creative in this process, okay? Unique and original. All right, so we'll start with, let's see, Plumi, you can start. Describe the sky in words.
Okay. The sky has different shades of color depending on the time of the day and.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Okay, now pick someone else to go.
Afsat.
So the sky is multi-purpose. During the day, it gives a cotton-like, while during the rainy season, it always cries.
Okay, great. Pick someone else. Hafsat, pick somebody else.
Farida.
The sky is cotton candy.
You can't say cotton candy. She already used cotton candy.
Okay. Sky is a collection of puffy clouds that are the color of peace.
Okay, good. Pick someone else.
Sultan.
Me? Oh, okay. The sky is something above the earth and is bluish mostly.
Okay, pick someone else.
Okay, safe. Safe.
Okay, thank you. I like the sky one. It's hazy and all gray.
Okay, pick someone else.
Abubakar.
Wow. Though I'm very poor with colors, the sky is blue whenever it wants to rain, or the sky is ash whenever it wants to rain.
Okay, pick someone else.
Halima.
The sky is a twilight.
Okay.
And I pick Dorcas.
Okay, the sky is a blanket that covers the earth.
Okay. Pick someone else, Dorcas.
Aisat.
Unmute yourself. Aisa, unmute yourself.
Sorry. Just excuse myself. The sky is white.
Okay.
No pun intended.
Yeah, pick someone else.
Oh, sorry. Muawiyah.
The sky is pink.
Okay. Keep on going. Pick someone else.
Alamin.
The sky has the same color as water. It changes with the change of its environment.
Okay.
Trevor.
The sky is a reflection of the collective globe's mood, and it's sometimes full of stars.
Okay. Pick someone else.
I pick, who hasn't spoken? Victoria.
The sky is our protection.
Okay, great. Pick someone else.
Shinkut.
The sky is orange when the sun is going to bed.
Okay, good. Pick someone else.
Saifullah.
Sorry, I have already.
Okay, Senku, pick someone else.
Okay, Altine.
The sky is blue with marshmallows.
Okay. All right, pick someone else who hasn't gone yet.
I would pick, let me see. I pick Saudi.
The sky is dark and vast.
Okay.
I pick, it's Farid. Okay, Farida has spoken. Lordson.
The sky is dark at night and bright in the day.
Okay.
Right, because
the sky provides index as to what the outline of the earth is. I picked Momo.
So the sky is calm and cloudless. I picked Zainab.
The sky is a variable depending on the weather, cloudless or sometimes cluttered.
Okay, good. Good. So do you see how?
How about Joy?
Solomon hasn't gone yet? Oh, Joy.
Joy, speak.
The sky has a golden sunset. The sky is beautiful when it has a golden sunset. I have spoken. Did you hear me?
Yep, got it. Okay, great, thank you. So do you see when challenged, you can easily come up with many, many different views on the sky, right? So this is where your original and unique thinking has to take place, okay? No matter how somebody says something as simple as the sky could generate so many different views. Your job is to create something that's unique enough that says it's not right. You have a unique view, right? So for example, social distancing, right? You're all familiar with that term, right? Everybody in the world's using it, right?
Yes.
Everybody says it's popular, it's the right thing to do. You know what I say? It's wrong. You should not be doing social distancing. You should only be doing physical distancing and keeping your social bounds clean and clear so that you can help support each other in this tough environment. Social distancing is the worst thing you can do in a pandemic. Okay? Unique perspectives, right? There's a lot of things in this world that everybody talks about that's popular without thinking about it first. Okay, whoever came up with that term, I would love to get rid of him, get rid of that voice, because it's harmful to the humanity as a species. We cannot live without social bonds. Human beings will go nuts if we're isolated without social connections, okay? So look at everything around you and explore how you can be unique, okay? All right, now, when we apply this stuff, take whatever topic you have. Here's your kind of thinking for the rest of the day and evening before we start tomorrow. Take your topic of your field, something of your passion, whether it's in politics or policy, construction media, psychology, whatever that is, and then start thinking about new concepts, something different, something unique that you would want to publish, okay? You have to, this evening, to think about it. Tomorrow morning, before we start, you will put that down into your outline, okay? You will start that process. You will use the process that you just created that's unique to your group. Okay, start using that process and explore. Okay, we have, let's see, where's the process? Let me find it real quick. So you pick your own topic tomorrow and then thinking about the idea and then start bullet points about what you already know. So you should have 1 through 3 completed by tomorrow morning. Okay. All right. So any questions for the day?
Sorry, I didn't get the assignment. You said you should think of a new concept and what?
Start, use the process you've already created, steps 1 through 3.
Okay.
Okay. And then apply that topic to your process 1 through 3. So you should have some specific ideas about your topic.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're doing something in construction, what can be done in construction that's a new idea for a scholarly article?
Okay.
Okay.
So you mean critical thinking, unique and original. That's what you mean by step 1 to 3?
Yes. Oh no.
Okay.
So that's the that's the ideas you apply to. Your steps 1 through 3 is this one here. Let me go back to that screen. Is these 3.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Now, one fun little thing to kind of play around with, if you like, this evening, go on to all your social medias. It's 5 o'clock. Put the concept out there for physical distancing instead of social distancing. See how you can get your respective social connections to understand that and make a name for yourself and play with that idea. Okay? That's up to you. All right? Okay, with that, we'll conclude for the day. I will see everybody tomorrow morning.
Hi.
Yes, question.
Can you share this document with us?
Yes, yep, I'll post it in the group here in a second here.
Okay, and does it have to be a new idea? Can it be something we're working on already?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, as long as there's room for it to be original and unique. Okay. All right, I'm putting the file in the general room now. No. Hold on a second, that's the schedule. Okay, everybody can see that? Yeah, so the presentation's there. Okay. All right, have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow
Thank you very
morning.
much, Dr. Sun. See you in the morning. Thank you very much for a great session.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Dahiru.
I think he's gone.